Well, good evening. I'm Brady Burrell, along with that would be Brian Prodich. Good evening. And there we go.
Okay, thank you, Brady.
You got it. And that
Brian
would be,
Prodich, yeah.
Yep. We're coming to you live from the Patterson Civic Center. And we are bringing you live coverage of tonight's political forum featuring the candidates for St. Mary Parish Sheriff, presented by the St. Mary Chamber of Commerce, and we are about to get underway shortly. We do want to remind you about some very important dates to do with this election. Of course, early voting begins this Saturday.
That's right.
September 30th. Continues for 1 week through Saturday, October 7th. And then Election Day on Saturday, October 14th. And you can join us that night for live election returns beginning at 8 p.m. And you can watch that live on the KQKI Digital Video Network and also listen live on KQKI 95.3
right.
FM. And we are your local election headquarters.
We're already working on getting things together.
We sure are. And we are proud to be your local election headquarters. And of course, we are about to get underway here with candidates Gary Driscoll, Jason Granger, Kenny Scelfo, and Cody Thibodeau. Again, tonight's forum is brought to you by the St. Mary Chamber of Commerce, and we're about to begin with Chairwoman Laura Meadows.
Good evening. Can everybody take their seats, please? And before we start, if you could silence your cell phones. Good evening. Thank you for attending tonight's Chamber Forum. I'm Laura Meadows, Chairwoman of the St. Mary Chamber of Commerce. The purpose of the St. Mary Chamber of Commerce's political forums is to enlighten, educate, and empower voters to make informative decisions at the polls. And I would like to remind all of you here tonight and those watching online that the St. Mary Chamber of Commerce stands firm as an apolitical entity, giving all candidates equal opportunity and platform to share information with the public and not showing support for any candidate over others. I ask that you, the audience, remain respectful of the moderator and candidates that you remain respectful of one another, our moderator, and our timekeeper. I would now like to introduce you to our moderator for this evening, Ms. Trenisha Hayes, award-winning member of the St. Mary Parish Toastmasters, but most of you will recognize her as our assistant at the Chamber, and honestly, so much more at the Chamber of Commerce. Trenisha will start the program with an invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand and bow your heads as we pray. Loving God, bless all those here today as we come together in friendship and fellowship. Thank you for the blessings of our individual and collective God-given gifts. Place in our hearts the desire to make a difference within our families, in our community, and in our country. Give us balance and wisdom and help us to accomplish our goals respectfully and with integrity. Jesus, thank you for humbling yourself to walk alongside us as a man. Help our leaders be willing to walk alongside each other, their constituents, and especially the marginalized. Our leaders may have a different of opinions and priorities. Give them the insight to navigate those differences and work together to strengthen our parish and region. Remind us in this election year that you have called Christians to be one body. Amen. Now we'll say the pledge. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we begin, I would like to thank and acknowledge our dignitaries that have taken time out of their busy schedules to be here tonight. Please hold applause until all names have been called. They are Sarah Dake with Senator John Kennedy's office, Chief Deputy Gary Driscoll with St. Mary Parish Sheriff's Office, Lieutenant Colonel John Kyle with St. Mary's Parish Sheriff's Office, Berwick Mayor Duval Arthur, Berwick Councilwoman Ms. Colleen Askew, Judge Greg O'Quinn, St. Mary Parish School Board Member Lindsay Anslem. Thank you for joining us this evening. We will now begin. Moving too fast. We will now begin tonight's forum with the candidates for St. Mary Parish Sheriff. Those currently running for St. Mary Parish Sheriff are Gary Driscoll, Jason Granger, Kenny Scalfo Sr., and Cody Thibodeau. Thank you, candidates, for joining us and giving St. Mary Parish an opportunity to hear from you. I will quickly go over our guidelines so that we may begin. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to give his opening statement. As you see here in front of the stage, we have our lovely timekeeper, Ms. Lori Broussard. She will hold up a sign when there is 1 minute remaining, 30 seconds remaining, and when your time is done. She will ring a bell like that. Please be respectful of everyone's time this evening. We will begin in alphabetical order. Mr. Gary Driscoll, you are first. Please give your opening statement.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the Chamber for putting on this event. It's an important event so that it can inform the voters of the issues and the accomplishments of the Sheriff's Office in the past few years. I'd also like to thank everyone that's here and those that are watching at home. I'm Gary Driscoll, and I want to be your next sheriff. I'm a lifelong resident, father, husband, and I'm proud to raise my family here in St. Mary Parish. In 1986, I joined the United States Army and became a military policeman. In 1990, I was hired by the St. Mary Parish Sheriff's Office as a full-time deputy. I started in corrections. I moved to patrol, narcotics, detectives, administration, and I currently serve as the chief deputy, and I oversee the day-to-day operations. I have over 37 years of law enforcement, and about the only job I haven't done at the Sheriff's Office is the sheriff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Driscoll. Mr. Granger, please give your statement.
Thank you all for having me here tonight. My name is Jason Granger, lifelong resident of St. Mary Parish. Tonight, with every question, I have about 45 seconds to keep and grab y'all attention. I'm going to come at you as honest as I can. Let's throw away the script and focus on what truly needs attention, our community and this department. Let's stop ignoring the concerns of this parish as a check engine light. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Granger. Mr. Scalfo, you may begin.
I'm Kenny Scalfo, and I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. I'd like to thank the Chamber for having this event and everyone who is at home watching this event. I lived in Franklin all my life. I'm married to Jennifer Goday Scalfo, and we have 3 kids, Kenny, Megan, and Brooke. In fact, Brooke is out here right now. And I'm running for sheriff because I want to see a change. We need a change. I have experience in law enforcement. I have 18 years with the Franklin Police Department Reserve, where we handled every end of law enforcement. And I enjoyed that. I always had a desire to be in law enforcement. And this is my opportunity to try to be elected as sheriff and serve everyone as I would like to be served as sheriff. I graduated from Franklin Senior High School. I completed flight training in Patterson years ago. When I was 18, I got my license. I also served on the Franklin City Council for 16 years. 4 of those years was Mayor Pro Tem, and 4 years was on the Public Safety Committee, where I worked with problems we had internal with our police department, and we got them straightened out. I worked with every law enforcement agency to try to solve those problems, and we got things accomplished. I also serve as a second lieutenant in the Civil Air Patrol, where we do search and rescues. The past 42 years, I've been working for a natural gas pipeline company, which I'm still there, and I have experience working with every level of the public. I'd like to serve as your sheriff, and I'd like for you to support me, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Scelfo. Mr. Thibodeau, your statement, please.
Cody Thibodeau. I have approximately 16 years of law enforcement experience. I've worked in corrections, patrol, admin, warrants. I believe that the Sheriff's Department is doing a good job, but they can do a lot better. And I want to have that opportunity to bring the Sheriff's Department to the future.
St. Mary Chamber of Commerce invited the public to submit questions prior to this evening's forum and has accepted questions from the public tonight as well. For this evening's forum, I will pull at random 8 of those questions to be asked. If you need the question to be repeated at any time, please just ask. Each candidate will have the opportunity to first answer the question with a 2-minute time frame and then be allowed an additional 30-second rebuttal or comment. Again, each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond and 30 seconds for a rebuttal or comment following the candidate's responses if they so choose. When the bell rings, your allotted time is finished. We will rotate candidates for each question, so each of you has the opportunity to respond first. Of course, beginning in alphabetical order. Question number 1. How do you plan to face the shortage of officers? Mr. Driscoll, you may begin.
This is a problem that we see across the United States. And there's a iconic statement out there from the movie Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. So we figure if we could build an office with the best equipment, the best training, the best pay, and the best opportunities, they will come. And I know some of you sit there and say, how do you know this? Because I see it happening today. I have seen numerous and good applications come in. And we also not just get new people trying to come to the sheriff's office, we get veterans, we get seasoned officers. So that tells me we're doing the right thing. We're giving pay raises. We're giving incentives. And my goal is to continue to improve the sheriff's office so that any man or woman that wants to come in and work at the sheriff's office and serve their community can be there for a very long time and fulfill in their professional success such as I did after 31 years. Thank you.
Mr. Granger, how do you plan to face the shortage of officers?
I want to implement a workplace that provides solutions to the problems that directly affect law enforcement personnel. A place not only provide them with the tools, training, and equipment, but also address the history of negative civilian and political perceptions the men and women of law enforcement face. Pay increases, that's across the board. And without a doubt, one of the top 3 concerns that must be addressed, inclusion of patrol and communications and meetings concerning public relations. city stats, and general commuting policies. Patrol and dispatch are the faces of the department. These individuals are expected to perform in certain manners as accepted by public. Therefore, they are not inclusive of coming events, changes, and exceptions that cannot perform such. They're the boots on the ground, our deputies, our patrolmen. They're the faces of the community. You run into them first. They're your billboards for hiring. If they're happy here in this department, they will bring other officers in. If they're unhappy, they're gonna go out and say, I'm unhappy, you don't wanna work here because of this, that, or the other. So if you bring a morale to this department, other officers from other departments will come and wanna work here. Thank you.
Mr. Scelfo.
Well, it's simple. Treat them fair. Fair and be fair with the promotions. Don't have a guy there 20 years, 30 years and not give him a promotion. Don't pull somebody in for 3 years and put them on top of everything. And you have to treat them fair and you have to pay them fair. And when you do that, you're going to get more people apply to work for the St. Mary Parish Sheriff's Office. And once we get past that, everything else is going to start falling into place. But you can't, you have what, over 160 people working for the Sheriff Department now. You can't expect them to start liking what they're doing if for the past years you hadn't been treating them fair when it comes to promotions and pay. You treat them fair, word will get out, and if you need more help, which we are short-handed now, they will sign up for the Sheriff Department. That's all I have.
Mr. Thibodeau.
I feel that in order to get more and better qualified people, we would have to change the administration, have less administration. That'll give you more money to be able to put towards the bottom to where everyone can get a decent pay increase to where they can sustain their daily lives.
Mr. Driscoll, do you wish to make a comment?
As far as the pay goes, in the last 2.5 years, we have given 3 different raises. And we continue to look at another raise once we get past payroll padding. And as far as the fairness, we treat everybody fairly. If you do your job and you work, you will get promoted. We promote people that work and deserve that promotion. Thank you.
Mr. Granger? Granger? Mr. Scelfo?
Of course, I don't agree with Mr. Gary, but I've been around. I've been all over this parish. I've talked to a lot of people. There's a lot of deputies that hadn't been paid fairly. They hadn't been promoted fairly. I know they're looking at getting a pay raise. I believe it's going to be in June or July of next year. They've been promised that. But is it just because we have an election?
Thank you, Mr. Scelfo. Mr. Thibodeau, any further comments? Thank you, candidates. Mr. Granger, you will be first for this round. Considering recent concerns about community police relations, how do you plan to foster better trust and collaboration between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve? What specific policies or initiatives do you believe will lead to improved community policing? Do you need me to repeat it?
No, I got it. First part of the question, trust. Transparency, receptiveness, unity, service, and training. There will never be enough training. Second part has the policies. We need to increase personnel, both highway and neighborhoods. Need to be patrolled. Both areas increase in presence, but your neighborhoods. We need to patrol the neighborhoods, making the neighborhood an easy, with being on the highway, you're making the neighborhood an easy target. But we also need to patrol the highways because it's a throughway. It's a throughway for drugs. It's a throughway for child trafficking, illegal guns. So we have to get personnel to where we can hit both of these, not leave the community out when all the patrolmen are on the highway. But we need them patrolmen on the highway. So we got to increase personnel so we can also take care of our community at the same time. And that's what I got for that. Thank you.
Mr. Scalfo.
Can you go ahead and repeat the question,
Absolutely.
please?
Considering recent concerns about community police relations, how do you plan to foster better trust and collaboration between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve? What specific policies or initiatives do you believe will lead to improved community policing?
Well, first of all, I'd like to put security in every school that we have in St. Mary Parish. And doing this, you're going to win two ways. You're gonna have the kids that are going to be raised around that uniform, and they're going to build that trust in that with that deputy, and they're going to no longer fear the uniform. They'll grow up with the uniform helping them, and I think that's going to be a good place to start. And then with the community, I think we ought to have community policing. I think we ought to have a deputy go through a neighborhood, knock on doors. If no one's home, leave a card, leave a number. Let them know that they can trust the sheriff department. Let them feel that if ever they have a problem, all they have to do is give him a call, and they know they can trust him, and they know he's gonna take care of them. He's gonna take care of their needs, and then if the sheriff department needs to go ahead and look into what their complaint is and make an arrest, they're going to make that arrest, and they're not going to, explain to him where it came from or what. Everything is going to be done undercover, top secret.
Mr. Thibodeau, do you need me to repeat it? Considering recent concerns about community police relations, how do you plan to foster better trust and collaboration between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve? What specific policies or initiatives do you believe will lead to improved community policing?
Well, I'd like to increase the amount of personnel on patrol to give them a better opportunity to be able to stop and talk with people, and give them more time to be able to focus on patrolling the streets and get to know the communities.
Mr. Driscoll, would you like me to repeat it?
No, thank you. First, we need to recognize the history of law enforcement across the United States. Some groups do not receive the same law enforcement as others, let's be honest. And if we can't recognize it, it won't change, it won't get fixed, it won't get better. But I have recognized it. And I know it starts with me, and I know it starts with leadership. That's why I've been pushing community policing so hard. It's near and dear to my heart. We've been going to schools, playing basketball and kickball with the kids. We put out movie nights. We had 4 movie nights this past summer in 4 different locations across the parish. National Night Outs. We've only had 1 in the past. We have 2, 1 on each side of the parish. We involved in Trunk or Treat, more SROs in schools, DARE. And we encourage our patrolmen to get out there and talk to the kids, talk to the adults. If they're throwing football, I encourage them to get out and throw that football with those kids. Say hello. We do these things so we can interact with the people we serve. We do these things so that we can build a better relationship with the people we serve. And that's why I want to be the first sheriff, the sheriff for everyone. Thank you.
Mr. Granger, do you care to add any additional comments or give a rebuttal?
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of touch on what Mr. Kenny said about schools. Yeah, kids are top priority, but with our personnel stretched thin, that would increase our budget. Have you ever looked at getting disabled veterans, voluntary veterans to sit at our schools? There are a lot of them out there that would love that job. One thing about a veteran, he will protect women and children at all costs. And that's an idea that needs to be looked at instead of stretching our budget.
Mr. Scelfo, comment or rebuttal?
Yes, ma'am. Community policing will start day one if I get this job. I don't have any planning to do. And when it comes to the budget, we got a heck of a surplus that we can put the money in the right places. And we can get deputies in there that are not only going to build trust with the kids, but he will be there to protect the kids and the staff in case something comes up. But I would start that right away. Thank you.
Mr. Thibodeau. Thank you, candidates. On to question 3. For this round, Mr. Scelfo, you'll be first. What do you see as the sheriff's primary role?
The sheriff's primary role, he's going to be the chief law enforcement officer of the parish, and it will be protecting the public, protecting his deputies, giving them everything that they need to be safe when they go out there and they protect the public. That would be the primary role. And the sheriff is an administrator, and he is going to make sure that the budget stays balanced, the money goes in the right places, there's money where it needs to be, and he will make sure that things happen in the right form.
Mr. Thibodeau, do you need me to repeat the question? What do you see as the sheriff's primary role?
I feel the sheriff's primary role is to make sure that the citizens of St. Mary Parish are protected and served through their department.
Mr. Driscoll?
I believe the sheriff has many roles. 1, as a tax collector. 2, he is the chief deputy or the chief law enforcement officer of the parish. But there's so much more than that. He's one of those guys that the men and women of the sheriff's office goes to when they're at a dead end on their case, when they don't have the right direction. He's going to be there to help give direction, to help educate that deputy, to help guide that deputy so that he or she can continue on with their education and their case. He also is there for his people. It is very important to take care of your deputies. Deputies go through so much. They see more and hear more than most people will ever see in their lifetime. So he needs to be there for them. He needs to take care of them. He needs to support them. He also is there when they are injured or hurt. I'm be the one that goes to the hospital. I will be there. I will be there to take care of their families and support their families. Now, the sheriff's role is also to be a leader, to be there when he is needed by any deputy, by the citizens we serve, and I will be not just an administrator. I will be out on the streets like I am now. Thank you.
Mr. Granger?
I know something fell. I didn't know if I missed anything.
It was the
else.
gavel, but I don't think I need it tonight.
Okay. All right. So the primary role, you need to be a leader. A leader for both deputies whose safety should be the main focus of the administration, and for the community, who also expect the safety to be at the forefront of law enforcement decision-making. Both deputies and civilians should have access to the sheriff. Access may not always provide them with the answer they want, but access, transparency, and communication is the only way to address concerns for both. To be the person to the people who would generally listen to concerns, complaints, and hopefully receive praise on the well-done job of men and women on patrol on the streets in this parish. Thank you.
Back to you, Mr. Scelfo, for a comment or rebuttal.
Okay, like I had said earlier, my mission is going to be to protect the public. We're going to protect the law-abiding citizens, and we're going to go after the criminals, and we're going to take care of it. Someone breaks the law, they hurt somebody in our parish, they're going to serve the time. It's plain and simple. I'm not going to put tax collecting or anything like that anywhere first. That's done with another office. The sheriff department is responsible for it, but there's people that do that. I'm going to take care of the public, number one.
Mr. Thibodeau, comment or rebuttal? Mr. Driscoll?
Like I said, Mr. Kenny, tax collecting is one of the things the sheriff does. It doesn't mean it's the most important. His biggest role is to protect and serve the citizens of this parish. And I have been doing that for over 37 years, and I will continue doing that.
Mr. Granger, any comments or rebuttal?
No, not at this time.
Thank you, candidates. Question number 4. If elected sheriff, how can a sheriff's office and other law enforcement offices work better with the district attorney to ensure criminals are prosecuted for their crimes and punished accordingly?
We'd be able to make sure that all of the paperwork and evidence is all turned over in a timely manner and try to minimize the time that it's not turned in.
Mr. Driscoll?
The best way to help the DA's office is to simply make better cases. Now, it's easier said than done, but it starts with training from day one. You train these cadets from day one how to make a good case. We also have supervisors that overlook our cases to make sure that if there's anything missing, they can go back and complete it. How do we make better cases? By doing good, thorough investigations. You go to a crime scene, you secure it, you take photos, you collect your evidence, your physical evidence, fingerprints, casings, DNA, and it all must be turned in properly and used by a proper chain of command. You also have to do a good interview. You want to know the who, what, when, why, how, and why. Because if you can get all that information, you'll make your case. Now, paperwork. Paperwork is very important. You must document everything that you do in those cases. It's very important because when it comes time to testify, it may be a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road. And testifying is something very important. You're not going to remember everything. So a good report, be ready to testify when the cases come up, and be familiar with your cases. Thank you.
Mr. Granger?
If elected sheriff, first off, punishment is not set by the sheriff's office. Those are by elected judicial officials, judges, DAs, lawmakers. The sheriff's office needs to be more proficient in the small details of the case. Small details can make or break a case. Again, I would like to intend to implement a 2-person quality control protocol to review cases before they are sent up to the DA's office, so the DA is not coming back to the sheriff's office and bouncing back and forth. But punishment, when it comes to punishment, the sheriff's office has no control over that. All we could do is build our case to the best we can, turn it over to the DA. When the DA, they're going to implement what punishment is available for the crime, not the sheriff's office. We do our job, they have their job. And that's one thing that needs to be looked at too. These judges that we elect to put in these positions, DAs that we elect to put in these positions, if they're going to just keep turning these criminals out and let them go, why do we have them up there? We're just doing a repetitive motion by arresting, and they're just letting them go. Thank you.
Mr. Scelfo?
I disagree. The sheriff's office has a lot to do when it comes to the sentence. I agree with Mr. Gary. All that paperwork needs to be filled out and completed accurately. So I would recommend the district attorney's office increasing the training that they're giving our deputies in how to fill out these reports. Because if these reports are not filled out right, which you arrested a person for, and if the paperwork is not right, that crime is going to be downgraded. And that's going to mean less time in the jails. So the sheriff department does have a hand in how much time a person's going to serve. Because if they don't fill the report out right, well, it's not going to happen.
Mr. Thibodeau, a comment or rebuttal? Mr. Driscoll, anything further?
Yes, I would have to disagree with Mr. Kinney. The fact is, we can make the best case possible. We do not sentence, we don't refer, that's strictly up to the judicial district. After they get our paperwork, they do not take our input. They have guidelines, that sentencing guidelines that they have to go by. It is not the sheriff's office that sentences these people.
Mr. Granger.
I disagree with Mr. Skelfo, and it's kind of a personal, how I know this. It is not the sheriff's department that can arrest you and say you're going to jail for 30 years. Because if that was the case, I wouldn't be up here. I'd be happy as hell. It is the DA's office. We got to make sure our paperwork's straight, but it's the DA's, the lawmakers, the people in higher levels of the state and in government that impose what punishment can be set with which crimes. Thank you.
Mr. Skelfo.
Of course, I'm going to disagree. I know working with the district attorney, making sure he has all the evidence he needs, everything is complete with the report, and then the judge is going to go ahead and decide which sentence is going to be served.
Thank you, candidates. We are more than halfway there. Question number 5. How will you work to make sure St. Mary's Parish deputies better suited to handle minor offenders in a way in which they might not return to crime? And Mr. Driscoll, it's back to you first this round.
First of all, law enforcement and legislation has recognized that money is being wasted on minor crimes. So the laws has changed. And some of those crimes that you used to be arrested for and brought to jail is no more. They're issued summons. Summons, yes, you're arrested, but it's more like a citation. There's also programs out there that I support, such as FINS, Family in Need of Assistance and Services for juveniles. These programs mentor and counsel young adults, and hopefully we can keep them on the straight and narrow. We also received a grant just recently for $150,000 that we mentorship. We have somebody that does a mentorship with these kids. Again, we try to keep them on the straight and narrow. You have programs like the DA's probation. You have drug court, where we actually employ someone and assign them to drug court to help do the compliance. Community service. Things of this nature is all good programs to try to keep people from going back to jail. Now, the court system, they have to determine who qualifies for this and who does not. It's not the deputies. Also, we know jail is not the answer. If that's the case, we wouldn't have repeat offenders. But I do think we need to treat people in all cases with respect, dignity, and professionalism. I know I've done this for many, many years, and throughout my career, I've been at restaurants or stores, and people walk up to me, shake my hand, give me a hug, and tell me that since you treated me right and you took care of me, I've been on the straight and narrow. You saved my life. And that's what law enforcement's about, trying to keep people straight. It's not about putting people in jail, it's about helping people. Thank you.
Mr. Granger.
So, juveniles, we need the parents' help. We can't do nothing without the parents. We need y'all help. We need maybe implement a scared straight program, a mentoring program, big brother, big sister. something of that nature to help show these kids, these young teenagers, that you have no life if you keep going down this road. There's nothing there for you. Be an upstanding citizen of the community. I never thought I'd be up here because I've done some crazy stuff back in my day. But here I am today. I'm doing it, you know, and that needs to be shown to our younger youth. Anything is possible. And if nothing, I've won for my daughter sitting out there. That's it. I won. But I'd like to thank y'all, and that's all I got to say.
Mr. Scelfo?
Yes, ma'am. I got to agree with Mr. Gary. The FINS is the Family in Need of Services, and that's the best organization to get the whole family involved when you're dealing with a minor. Thank you.
And Mr. Thibodeau, would you like me to repeat the question? How will you work to make sure St. Mary Parish deputies are better suited to handle minor offenders in a way in which they might not return to crime?
I'd like to get them better training, more training, and also try to implement more programs to help those that are struggling to keep on the straight and narrow.
Mr. Driscoll, a comment or rebuttal? Mr. Granger? Mr. Scelfo? Mr. Thibodeau? All right, moving on. Thank you, gentlemen. Question number 6. What would be the most immediate change, if any, that you would make within a department? And Mr. Granger, this is all yours. What would be the most immediate change, if any, that you would make within the department?
All right. We'd be a one uniform organization. Open door policies. Nobody will stop you from talking to me. Email will probably be the best way. I won't be able to get back to you right away. We will not tolerate insubordination. We will combine the green line, the blue line, the red line. We're all one. We're all out here to do one job: serve the people. And this is what morale brings. You boost the morale. Your deputy's going to want to go out there and say, I want to do this job. I want to come work here. As long as morale's up, camaraderie's up. If you can trust the man sitting next to you, you'll walk through hell with him. If you don't, you ain't going to want to do this job. Thank you.
Mr. Scelfo?
You know, if elected as sheriff, I would have to get in, and I would actually have to see what's going on, see where the changes need to be made. If we're short on patrol officers, I would recommend that the administrators put the uniform on and get out on patrol. The people come first. We have to do a little extra work, we're going to do it. But we're not going to be operating the streets shorthanded. We'll always have somebody out there.
Mr. Thibodeau? What would be the most immediate change, if any, that you would make within the department?
I would minimize the amount of administration, increase the amount of people on patrol and in the jail. That way we can have more people on the road to be able to better serve the parish.
Mr. Driscoll?
The first thing I would do after the election, and we get out of payroll padding. Payroll padding means I'm limited on spending funds and hiring personnel, and that's where we're stuck at right now. We're stuck on hiring personnel. We love, once payroll padding is passed, the one thing I'd love is to continue hiring. We are very close to being maxed out at 28 people on patrol, and we only need a few people at the jail. Patrol would give us 7 people on a shift. We are also getting very good applicants, like I said earlier. I'm also looking to give a raise. Mr. Scelfo was right about that. But what we do after every financial year ends, we look at what we've done and what we have to work with. In the past 2 years, we've had a lot to work with. Last year, we finished 1.2 million in the black. We gave raises. This year we finished 1.3 million in the black. We want to give raises, but cannot because of the payroll padding. In the last 3 years, or in the last 2.5 years, we gave 3 raises, 25% across the board, 30% to the starting deputies. I also started a pay incentive, such as longevity pay. This is deputies that's been here for 3 years or longer. We're trying to keep deputies. This is one incentive because they're the deputies that has the most knowledge. They've been out there. They've handled all these cases. Special pay for people on SRT and dive teams. This is specialty things. People who risk their lives quite a bit. And also, if you graduate college, we will give you a pay raise because we want you to be the best educated personnel we have. So I believe with all these things that we're doing, all the things that we're changing, this will attract people and keep people here at St. Mary Parish. Thank you.
Mr. Granger, would you like to add anything?
No, I mean, just back up Mr. Driscoll right here. If we are in the black in the budget at the end of the year, we are able to give more raises and help our deputies, help the boots that are on the ground. Not just go ahead and we're going to willy-nilly the money away, as to say, but we can take care of our personnel more. Thank you.
Mr. Scalfo, comment or rebuttal?
Well, we have a $12 million budget, and we have a heck of a surplus. I'm not familiar with the program that Mr. Gary is talking about, where they limited to what type of raise they can give. I just noticed that it seems like some are given a big pay raise and some are given a very small one, or maybe none at all. So I would need to look into that, because if we got a fund balance of $9 million, it seems like we can give everybody.
Mr. Thibodeau?
I would like to increase the amount of people on patrol per shift to at least 10 per shift. That'll give it a total of 40 on the road at any given time.
Mr. Driscoll, a comment or rebuttal?
What payroll padding is a law that restricts you during election years. And that's what we're in now. That's what Mr. Kenny doesn't understand. I would love to get raises right now, but I can't. It's against the law. Plain and simple. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. Question number 7. If elected, how would the sheriff's office be different at the end of your first term? And this one goes to Mr. Scalfo. You may begin.
At the end of the first term, we're going to have the deputies that are happier with their job. They're going to have decent pay. We're going to have security in our schools protecting our kids. We're going to have deputies on the road. We're going to have extra deputies. Like I said, the pay is going to be decent. Everybody is going to enjoy their job. The promotions are going to be fair. We're going to look at the people that have the seniority when it comes down to promotions and seeing if they qualify for that promotion. I don't want anybody to just feel like they're being left out. So we're going to have more people on the road. We're going to use modern technology to go ahead and keep an eye on the whole parish. We'll look at drones. They got some good drones out there where we could fly over anywhere at any time and stay in the air, 3 or 4 hours. We could use that to look into burglaries. If there's somebody that's creeping around somebody's house in the middle of the night, we'll be able to spot them. We can use smaller drones to help back up a deputy who's out on the road on his own. He'll be able to put that in the air and spot where the person that he's looking for is located before anybody can get into harm's way. There's going to be a lot of changes, and it'll be a change for the better. The people are going to feel safer in St. Mary Parish. We may even put one of those signs on the highway, criminals beware, don't come into St. Mary Parish. And I'm not saying how many years they're going to have to serve in jail. I'm letting them know that if they break the law, they hurt somebody over here, we're going to make an arrest, and we're going to do our darnest to get all the reports right and everything
Thank you,
else.
Mr. Scelfo. Mr. Thibodeau? If elected, how will the sheriff's office be different at the end of your first term?
Hopefully at the end of the first term, it'll be a fully staffed department. The morale will be up, and everyone would love to come to work.
Mr. Driscoll?
If I'm elected as sheriff, much would be the same as it is now. The same hardworking, dedicated men and women that work very hard every day, just with certain incentives and enhancements. We have gone over this, and recently we're in the process of buying some property, and building a new law enforcement office. Also a motor pool. It's much needed. This would help us out in many different ways. One, to put everybody together in the criminal division. They could bounce ideas off each other, share knowledge, and help each other out. It would stop the communication issues when we're in all one building. Now, also, cost effective. Right now, we're putting about $100,000 a year at the branch office between insurance and having to fix it over and over and over. Financially, that is not sound to me, especially when we only use about a fourth of that building. I will continue to be a good steward of taxpayer money, and if I wasn't, we're not able to do the things we're doing, all the equipment that we're purchasing, the incentives, the new building, the property. I'd also buy a lot more equipment and the newest technology that would help deputies when they're out there working these cases. And we also have a drone. We have several drones, and we have a drone division. They are certified, and they do work, and they do assist us on cases, search and rescues, homicides. So we do have that equipment as well. Thank you.
Mr. Granger?
All right. If I was elected, let's see, that was number 6. If elected, how would the sheriff's office be different? If I knew that, I would buy a lottery ticket tonight, and I wouldn't have to be up here. But seriously, we'd have more of an organized chaos, I'll put it. My intention is to leave the organization with a better working relationship all around. We are all human and all make mistakes, and that's something we need to realize. I realized it in these last 6-7 months. Just because you're a cop, you don't know everything, and you're gonna make mistakes. They're human. They gotta go home to their families. They gotta go home to their families knowing they made a mistake, to where that victim might not get the justice that they deserve. But it happens. And just like you out here, y'all are human. You make mistakes. We're just on a platform saying we make them too. Thank you.
Mr. Scelfo, comment or rebuttal?
There's no way that I would close down the Morgan City office and put some type of restrictions on the office at the courthouse and spend millions of dollars on a new building. We already need more deputies. We already need sophisticated equipment. I can't see doing that. We have at the courthouse, we have the 7th floor that's not being used. It can hold about 119 people. We could maybe use that for the females.
Thank you, Mr. Scelfo. Mr. Thibodeau? Mr. Driscoll?
Is one, the 7th floor is not for the St. Mary Parish Sheriff's Office. It is owned by the St. Mary Parish government. And we did look at it a few years ago, and they talked about reopening, but it would cost millions of dollars to reopen that jail for anything. And if it was for juveniles, it would even be more. So that is something that has been looked into, and the parish government would have to do that. It has nothing to do with the sheriff's office.
Mr. Granger, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I'm sure Mr. Driscoll and them have already addressed this before we came up here. how cost effective would it be to update the Morgan City office? How old is that building? It would probably be more cost efficient to build a new office. Do I know this answer? No, I don't. All I'm looking at is the age of the building, what it needs to come up to code versus building a new building in Centerville. Thank you.
All right, y'all, last one. I'm going to pick a good one. Oh, apologize. Go ahead.
I didn't get one yet.
You go ahead.
I disagree. The 7th floor, we were told at the Crowd School years ago it couldn't be occupied. Now we have a city hall in there. That's always how they start off. That, we can't use it because of this. They got asbestos. It ain't painted. It needs this. But, that's not the way it goes down. The old hospital, the Franklin Hospital, they closed it down. They built a new hospital because they said that you couldn't.
Thank you. All right. This one, Mr. Thibodeau, you will be first. What qualities lead you to believe that you are the best candidate to oversee the St. Mary Parish Sheriff's Department?
I have 16 years of law enforcement experience. I've worked in just about every aspect of law enforcement, from corrections to patrol, warrants, traffic, everything. And that gives me an opportunity to be able to work with everyone in the department and help them to better do their jobs.
Mr. Driscoll?
Other than the 37 years of law enforcement that I have, I feel that I'm a great listener. And it means a lot to people to come in and sit down and tell you their issues, their troubles. And being a listener, it's also hearing what they say. Sometimes all people want to do is just come in and talk. If they come in and talk and you give them that time, that precious time, that's all they want. They will talk and they will solve their own problems most of the time. If not, I'm a very caring person. I will give them the most detailed answer I can give, in my opinion. I'm honest, I'm fair, I'm compassionate. I've dedicated my life to this office, to the deputies that work here, and to the people that we serve. I've learned that we're in the business of loving people. And if you don't love people, you're in the wrong business.
Mr. Granger?
I like that, Gary, at the end, because that's what it's all about. If you don't love people, you don't want to be up here. You don't want to hold the badge. You don't. I bring a military structure and mindset. I'm a fresh face with a fresh start. I see with the civilian eyes what crime is doing to our communities. If you see something, say something, and that's been reiterated a lot. But the public needs to speak up. You don't need to be scared. Without y'all help, we can't get our job done. And I'm tired of it with not being able to, my daughter to go to the gas station at night to fuel up, or anybody's wife, anybody's children. We need y'all to speak up so we can stop this. Bring the community that I had as a child back, a safer community. Someone where the cops don't even have to go out there and worry about getting shot. It's ridiculous. We need a safer community, and we need the public's help in making that happen. Thank you.
Mr. Scelfo?
Repeat the question, please.
Yes, sir. What qualities lead you to believe that you are the best candidate to oversee the St. Mary Sheriff's Department?
Well, I have the 18 years experience of serving a police department. And I have the experience, the training. We went through a lot of training. I have that in the law enforcement, and I also have the 16 years experience on the city council where we dealt with budgets. We balanced our budget no matter how bad things have gotten. And balancing $1 million budgets goes a long way, especially when you're starting to slacken funds. But we never backed off on our public safety. Our police department always had a budget. I was also chairman of the Public Safety Committee. And we dealt with problems that we had internal problems with our police department. And I went through that over the years, and we got all that cleared up. And so I have experience in solving problems inside of a police department also.
Mr. Thibodeau, care for a rebuttal or comment? Mr. Driscoll? Mr. No, I'm good. Okay. Mr. Scalfo, do you have an additional comment? Okay. Thank you, candidates, for answering some of the questions submitted by the citizens of St. Mary Parish. At this time, each candidate will have 3 minutes to summarize his candidacy. We will continue where we left off. Mr. Driscoll.
I'm Gary Driscoll, and I've been blessed for over 37 years to have served my country and my community. I have the experience, the training, and the knowledge, and the leadership to continue to build a better sheriff's office. So I humbly ask for your prayers, your support, and your vote on October 14th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Driscoll. Mr. Granger. I almost said it wrong.
You're good. I've been called worse. Well, it's the coup de grace. This is the last platform, public platform, for the citizens to make your decision out of us four. Who do you want? To sit here and say we need a safer community, not just for the citizens, but for the officers, is an understatement. As this election comes to a close, the false narratives can stop. Cast your vote as informed citizens who wants better for this parish. If you like what I had to say, I humbly ask for your support for Sheriff of St. Mary Parish, vote number 83, Jason Granger. And Mr. Driscoll, me and you've been through some trying times these past couple months. And here you go, I'd like to give you that, and maybe you and your office can do what they want to do with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Granger. Mr. Scalfo.
Well, first I want to start off by thanking the public for participating in this. And thank the candidates again for running. This is not something that's easy to do. But I'm asking for your support on Election Day. Please give me the opportunity to serve you, and I will serve you to the best of my ability. I have time in working with the public. I have time working with everyone, all walks of life, and I will continue to do that. So please vote for me on Election Day.
Thank you, Mr. Scalfo. Mr. Thibodeau.
I'd like to thank everyone for taking their time out to either watch us online or coming in person. Just want to reiterate, I would like to have less administration, more people on the road and in the jail, to where we can better serve the citizens of St. Mary Parish.
Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau. Again, thank you, candidates, for sharing with us a glimpse of each of your campaigns, stance, beliefs, and plans for St. Mary Parish. Your candidacy is appreciated. At this time, I would like to invite our Chamber President, Ms. Beth Chesson, to close out this evening.
Thank you, Trinisha. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for taking your time to be present with us this evening, whether in person or online through our live streams. Special thanks to our media partners who are here with us this evening. We have KWBJ News 22 and KQKI with us. Thank you for broadcasting the forum. I would like to take a moment to thank our timekeeper, Ms. Lori Broussard, our moderator, Ms. Trinisha Hayes, my staff, and our chairwoman for their support in planning these forums, and lastly to Mr. Jerry Boyles and the staff at Patterson Civic Center for allowing us to utilize this space for this evening's forum. We invite you to mingle with the candidates a bit before leaving, but do ask that you remain respectful of everyone's time. If appointments need to be made for further discussions, please do so. Keep an eye out for our Parish Council candidate publication due to be released this Friday, September 29th. If you have not already, on your way out, please take important election information page, which includes all key dates for the upcoming election season. Again, thank you for joining us. Have a great evening and a safe trip home.
And we want to thank you for joining us tonight for the final forum presented by the St. Mary Chamber of Commerce. Brian, I want to thank you very much for your help tonight as well.
It's always interesting to be involved, especially in this process, even, just bringing it out to the community. And that way they can make an informed decision about who they want to vote for.
That's what it's all about. And we do have those key election dates for you that we are putting up on your screen now. Don't forget, early voting begins this Saturday, September 30th, and continues through Saturday, October 7th. You can vote either at the Register of Voters office at the St. Mary Parish Courthouse or at the Register of Voters Annex on 3rd Street in downtown Morgan City. And then finally, Election Day is on Saturday, October 14th. And after you voted, and then it's time for the real results to come in, you can tune in to 95.3 FM KQKI or watch live on the KQKI Digital Video Network at 8 o'clock on election night, Saturday, October 14th, and we'll see what happens. So, again, Brian, thanks for your help. We want to thank all of the nice ladies at the St. Mary Chamber of Commerce for presenting tonight's forum and all of the forums they have been presenting, and they've been quite a success. So it's now your turn to make the decision.
Absolutely.
Yep. I'm Brady Borrell.
Along with Brian Prodich.
For your local election headquarters, KQKI News. Have a great night.